On the outskirts of Paris, there was this plain old apartment block, one of those places where life just moved quietly. People sipped morning coffee on their balconies. The bakery downstairs filled the air with the smell of fresh croissants, and the little grocery shop had customers drifting in and out all day. It was calm, steady, the kind of spot that felt safe. That's exactly why Lana and Mark had picked it. Both were freelancers, used to working late into the night. When the world slept, their creativity came alive. The big living room became their workspace. Canvas, laptops, empty coffee mugs everywhere. It looked like that perfect artist lifestyle. Silent, inspiring, peaceful. The only odd thing, the apartment came with two huge mirrors. One in the hallway corner, the other directly across from the bathroom. At first, they thought it was just a design choice, a European interior thing. But soon, those mirrors stopped feeling normal. Sometimes, it looked like their reflection stayed just a second too long. Like something inside the glass crouched there, quietly watching. Lana was an illustrator. Her art was insanely detailed. Every line had to be perfect. That perfectionism was her strength, but also her weakness. Even at 3 a.m., she'd still be hunched over her sketch pad, her coffee cold, her pencil moving. Health, rest, none of it mattered to her. Mark was usually the one telling her to take breaks. Mark, on the other hand, was a writer, sometimes articles, sometimes short stories. But he was laid back, almost careless. Deadlines didn't scare him. He wasted hours fiddling with his gadgets or camera instead of writing. Photography was his passion, but often it pulled him away from the work that actually paid. Together, they were just a normal couple. Little arguments, laughs, late-night stress. Lana thought Mark wasn't serious enough, and Mark thought Lana was ruining her health. But at night, they sat at the same table, sipping coffee, busy with their own worlds. Simple, ordinary. They had no idea that those mirrors in their apartment weren't just reflecting their faces. They were targeting their flaws. After moving in, their life fell into a predictable rhythm. Morning coffee and baguettes from downstairs, working all day, brainstorming together at night. Peaceful, just like they'd imagined. But then, a detail started bugging them. The big hallway mirror often showed faint fingerprints. At first, they thought it was leftover from moving. Lana wiped it clean easily. But the next day, new ones appeared, in spots neither of them had ever touched. Mark joked, "Guess you've got ghost fans." Lana laughed it off, but the unease lingered. One night, coming home late, Lana glanced at the mirror casually and froze. Behind her reflection stood a blurry figure, unclear, like someone lost in fog. She flicked the light on. The figure was gone in a blink, but her chest stayed tight, breath short, as she stared at the empty glass. The incidents picked up, each one stranger than the last. One night, Lana was leaving the bathroom. She glanced into the mirror. Her body froze. In the reflection, someone was standing directly behind her. A shadowy outline, close. Her heart pounded. She spun around. Nothing. Just silence. Just her own shallow breathing. Mark had his own scare. He snapped a casual selfie by the hallway mirror. The shot looked fine until he checked the photo. His face was clear, but down in the corner of the mirror was a dark, crouched shape, like someone kneeling there, watching. He tried to brush it off as bad lighting, but the more he zoomed in, the more defined it looked. Panicking, he deleted the photo, but the unease stuck. Then one evening, the bathroom mirror frame began to shake. Subtle, but real, like something was pushing from the inside. Both of them stood there, frozen. This wasn't normal. Unable to shake the feeling, Lana went to the building's maintenance office. She dug through old logs, flipping through faded papers, until one entry made her blood run cold. Request to remove hallway mirror due to disturbing reflections. Tenant claimed to see someone moving inside. Her hands trembled as she turned the page. A folded note slipped out, handwritten, almost hidden. It read, "The mirror doesn't just reflect the room. It reflects your mind, and it changes you." Lana read the line 3 times. Each time, the knot in her stomach grew tighter. She tried telling herself it was just stress, maybe lack of sleep. But that excuse didn't hold when she went home, unlocked Mark's phone, and scrolled through his deleted photos. The crouched figure was still there, consistent, unshifting. No random shadow is that exact, that clear. It wasn't a glitch anymore. It was real. Finally, Lana snapped. She demanded they get rid of the mirror. Mark resisted at first, but deep down, he was just as shaken. They hired a mover the next morning. With gloves on, he carefully detached the heavy frame and carried it out. And instantly, the air in the apartment felt lighter. Both Lana and Mark exhaled at the same time, sharing a faint smile. Maybe it was over. Maybe they were free. That night, they enjoyed dinner without fear for the first time. Pasta, wine, soft music in the background. For a moment, everything felt normal again. But the next morning, as Lana brushed her hair in the bathroom, her eyes naturally lifted to the mirror. She froze. Her reflection was missing. In its place was a dark silhouette, perfectly still, perfectly crouched, just like the figure in Mark's photo. The glass wasn't reflecting the room anymore. It was reflecting their nightmare. Paris woke like it always did, streets buzzing with bikes, bakery scents drifting through the air, neighbors tending to plants on balconies. Outside, life was cheerful, steady, untouched. Everything looked normal. Inside, Lana stood quietly at the window, a warm coffee mug in her hands. To anyone watching from afar, she was just a young woman, soaking in sunlight, adjusting to her new life. Nothing strange at all, but the wall behind her betrayed the truth. Her body cast a shadow, yes, but it wasn't her shape. It crouched low, knees bent, spine curved, perfectly still, and its face tilted upward, staring right at her. Lana took a slow sip, her eyes closing for a second. When she opened them, the crouched shadow hadn't moved. Still waiting, still watching. The outskirts of London always carried this weird kind of silence. No city chaos, no loud traffic, just the occasional car passing by and street lamps spilling soft yellow light across the road. Right in the middle of that calm stood a freshly built townhouse, and just a few days ago, a new tenant had signed the lease, Eliana. Eliana was a graphic designer, introverted, and honestly a bit of a workaholic. Most of her clients were based in the US, which flipped her whole schedule. When the world slept, she was wide awake designing logos and layouts. To feel more at home, she built a tiny routine. After finishing her projects, she'd grab her favorite mug of coffee and sit by the big living room window. That quiet moment used to calm her down. But while she enjoyed the stillness outside, something inside always messed with her, the basement door. It constantly seemed to sway just a little, like someone was breathing against it. The weird part, the London suburbs don't get much wind. And sometimes it felt like the door moved because of something on the other side. Eliana was just your average young professional, career-driven, focused, but with almost zero personal life. Since college, friendships had faded, and now most of her time was spent staring at a laptop screen. Her introverted side kept her away from parties or social hangouts. Meeting deadlines, that was her comfort zone. But she had one flaw: overthinking. The tiniest sound or detail would loop in her head nonstop. If the fridge hummed louder than usual, she thought it was breaking down. If the window shook a little, she thought the locks were faulty. That constant suspicion became part of her personality. Her neighbor, Mr. Harris, was another character in the story. A retired railway worker who always greeted her with a polite smile. But he had this habit of oversharing. He'd start with the weather and somehow end up telling old train schedules. Every time, though, he repeated one line: "Keep an eye on the basement." New houses usually have damp issues. Eliana brushed it off, thinking he was just overly cautious. But maybe he wasn't wrong. After moving in, Eliana's life became predictable. During the day, she worked on drafts and client emails, and at night, she unpacked boxes, arranged furniture, and chilled with a couple of Netflix episodes before diving back into work. Everything felt routine, just the way she liked it. But by the end of the first week, something started to break that routine. Around 1 or 2 a.m., while she was working with headphones on, The basement door would creak slightly, like it was moving by itself. She ignored it at first, assuming it was the wind. But the townhouse was fully insulated, windows sealed tight, no draft points anywhere. One night, she decided to use her phone's voice recorder to note down design ideas. She spoke a few lines casually, saved it, and replayed it. That's when her stomach dropped. Between her own words was a faint whisper, soft but clear. "Help me." Her heartbeat kicked up. She pulled off her headphones and froze. The basement stayed silent. The days went by, and Eliana noticed more weird little things. First, the lights, especially the ones near the basement stairs. Every time she walked past, they flickered. She assumed faulty wiring, but the electrician told her everything was brand new. Then came the video calls. While she discussed projects with her colleagues, she kept hearing faint tapping sounds through her headphones, always coming from the basement side. She thought it was just mic feedback until one colleague casually asked, "Hey, is someone else there? I hear footsteps." Her brain blanked out. That night, she grabbed her camera and flashlight, deciding she had to check the basement herself. She crept down the stairs slowly, each step echoing in the silence. Halfway down, her phone's flashlight went out completely, plunging her into pitch darkness. The air carried this sharp, burnt match smell, like something had just been lit. Her chest tightened, and then, in a blink, the lights flickered back on. The basement, empty. The next morning, while carrying grocery bags, Eliana ran into Mr. Harris at the gate. During casual small talk, she hinted that the basement felt strange. Without hesitation, he said, "The last tenant drowned down there. Water filled up, and he never made it out." That line hit her like a punch. Drowned? In the basement? But the house was brand new. Shaken, she searched the archives online and found a small article. Young man found dead in newly built property basement. Suspected suicide. Not many details, but one thing was clear. Someone had really died there. Digging deeper, she found a property maintenance log uploaded by the builder. One entry read, "Odd sounds from basement corner. Dripping and faint knocking." That night, determined to get proof, Eliana set up her security camera aimed at the basement stairs. The next morning, she checked the footage. Her blood ran cold. A blurred silhouette was walking down the stairs, slowly fading into thin air. By now, every day felt like a war inside her head. The line between fear and imagination was razor thin. Every shadow, every corner felt suspicious. She thought maybe she could fix this practically. Maybe the flickering bulbs and noises had real explanations. So she called in an electrician. While he was changing bulbs in the basement, he noticed something odd. Underneath the paint on one wall was a faint dark outline. It looked like the shadow of a man, frozen against the wall. Without saying anything, he painted over it. Slowly, the outline disappeared. Eliana hoped that would solve everything. That night, she finally felt lighter. She convinced herself it was all in her head, just stress and exhaustion. She lay down on her bed, closed her eyes, and then it happened. The footsteps, slow, steady, measured, coming from the basement. Walking, not stopping. And then, cutting through the silence, came the same whisper, "Help me." The next morning, Eliana tried to stick to her routine. The coffee machine's bubbling sound comforted her, like life was back to normal. She grabbed her mug, walked to the big living room window, and stared outside. Fog drifted across the road. Birds chirped softly in the distance. Peaceful, almost too peaceful. Then her eyes fell on the basement door. Her stomach tightened. The door was slightly open, like someone had quietly pushed it during the night and never closed it again. She set her mug down and stepped closer. That's when she saw it. Fresh, wet footprints, clear against the polished wooden floor. They started at the basement door and stretched forward in a thin trail of water. Eliana followed them with her eyes, her chest tightening. The prints didn't just stop randomly. They went all the way to her bedroom door. And in that moment, the silence in the house felt alive, like the footsteps had never actually stopped.